put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning, and we're really happy to be in your company. It's Tuesday, the 18th April, 2023, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Those of you viewing in the Caribbean and those of you on the live, good morning, good morning. Good morning, and I am Adana Combi again. I am your guest host this week, and I am happy to be here with my good friend and family, Ria George, and the Tobago Updates family here. Today, as Ria said, it's a beautiful day. This is the day that the Lord has made. If you are making your way to work, I don't know if you're on the streets already because I know there's school traffic. Yes, so second day, day two. Day two. So let's start getting ourselves ready, getting on the streets, making our way to work and to school in a timely manner. We have a really good lineup for you today, and we can't wait to get into it. That's right, that's right. But Anana, in the background, what has been happening? How have things been for you? We saw quite recently where and I can't say Chief Fally, but where Fally Augustine, not as chief, but as heading a new political party. Let's talk a little bit here. Well, I know when they announced that they were going to form this new party, everybody was, trying to figure out what's the party's name and what the symbol and registration and stuff like that. So now that they have a name. Well, while we're chatting, we can actually go to share that clip with our viewers for those who might have missed it. Right.
5 names, if you paid attention, among 5 names. The 5 names that were up for vote were National Democratic Alliance, Tobago Democratic Alliance, ACT, or ACT stands for again? Advanced Coalition for Transformation, the People's Party, and Tobago People's Party. A vote was taken, the ballots were counted in front of everyone present, so no counting, no backroom. Because this is one party where the votes don't change when it leaves the base. When it leaves polling station, the votes remain the same. You can see all the boxes are empty. The ballot sheet was certified by the 3 main counters, and I can tell you that the overwhelming vote for the name of the new party and the name of this new political organization is Tobago People's Party.
And there we have it, Dana and the viewers. The Tobago People's Party certainly has won out amongst the 5. Overwhelmingly, yes. Yes. So now there's a name to the party. TPP. Yeah. Tobago People's Party. All right. So I guess as we continue to follow things along, we are going to get more information on that in terms of symbol, color, etc. But before we continue chatting this morning, we're going to head on over into News in 90 Seconds with Chanel Felix.
Thank you so much, Ria and Adana. And guys, this is your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, the 18th of April. Following the vote of several hundred individuals, the Tobago People's Party was chosen as the name of the island's newest political party. The Tobago People's Party was formed by Chief Secretary Fally Augustine and his followers gathered at the Shore Park complex. Augustine and his followers gathered yesterday while they proudly announced the party's name that was chosen and registered by members, saying that it set a precedent for how all future political party decisions would be made. After the party is registered, to the EBC, its symbol and color would be revealed. The Tobago People's Party would hold a convention at a later date to ratify its constitution and elected executives. Additionally, the mother of a Scarborough secondary student launched legal action against the school's principal. According to the woman's attorney, Martin George, she was banned from entering the school compound without any reason on June the 11th, 2022. While visiting the school, security guards said that she was not allowed on the compound. She further claimed that she was not told why, nor was she given a chance to contest the decision. After failed attempts through her attorney to seek redress from both the school and the Division of Education, Innovation and Technology, the matter is now up for judicial review. And finally, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said that with 8 different ministers of national security over the past 11 years, crime continues to infect the country. He was speaking at the opening ceremony for the CARICOM Crime Symposium at Hyatt Regency Hotel. The Crime Symposium at Hyatt was held, and he refuted calls for the resignation of the National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines. Dr. Rowley said crime has eased up a bit and his efforts are being noticed. Meanwhile, he explained that crime is a financial burden on the health sector. He revealed the cost to the threat to treat a head wound from a violent criminal is $170,000, while $135,000 is needed to treat a chest wound and $100,000 for a leg wound. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Back to you, Ria.
Thank you so much there, Chanel. Thank you so much there for that. So, Adana, I'm not sure if we've got any birthdays on the lineup. I'm not sure if we got any birthdays at all in the lineup this morning, but like we mentioned, it is Tuesday the 18th of April 2023. Let's just get it clear.
Let's just get it clear. Just get it clear. But I don't think I noticed any birthdays on the rundown this morning.
I think there's an anniversary.
We've got an anniversary today.
I think we do.
All right, let's get on anniversary.
Yes, and happy anniversary. Happy 27th wedding anniversary to Anton and Karen John. We celebrate with you today. They are spending a time away in the UK, I think. So happy anniversary to you guys. 27 years of marriage.
I tell
27 years. This reminds me of Winnie Mandela, 27 years without your lover. When your husband was in jail, my father wrote a calypso. 27 years without your lover, Winnie Mandela. So this is 27 years together in marriage.
That's right, not
marital bliss for 27 years. Happy anniversary, guys, from the family here at Tobago Updates.
That's right.
And on our program today is what we're going to talk about next on our show today.
That's right. We share with our viewers this morning what is coming up on the Tobago Updates morning show. And just to remind you here, Julian as well, and he should be back with us by next week, Monday. And so for those of you who have been inquiring, I know I've been getting messages and persons have been putting it up on the live asking, Ria, is Julian okay? Yes, he is. All is well. It is well, all is well. So just to let you know what's coming up on the program this morning, Assemblyman Terence Baines, Secretary for the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, is going to be joining us on set along with Michelle Boris, Coordinator for Community Development, Youth Development and Sport. And this morning our focus is on the ComDev in Jamaica. They're going to give us a synopsis on their trip and social and community development. And we're going to hear more about some of their programs that have been unraveling or will be unraveling even as we speak. All right, so they're going to start things off with us this morning.
We also have Miss Alison Campbell. She's a reservation supervisor at the Magdalena Grand Resort and Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. She'll be speaking about jazz, the accommodation rates, giveaways, activities, and all things jazz as it relates to the Magdalena. So she'll also be on the program.
All right, and then we're going to be wrapping things up this morning
chatting with Second Star. And Second Star is a soca artist and songwriter. And this morning our focus is on one-on-one with Second Star and the Tobago Jazz Festival for 2023. So we're looking forward to that coming up on the program this morning. And for those of you who are joining us on the live, we say good morning. Good morning to you, Donna Parks Green. Good morning. It's good to connect with you. Pearl Murray Beard, Alicia Devine, Sharon Mills, Selma Lashley, Alicia Samuel, Carol Fraser Davidson, all the way in East Tobago. Good morning, good morning. Keisha Harry, good morning. We missed you yesterday, but certainly thank you so much for joining us on the live this morning. All right, so we're going to head on over at this time, viewers. Just before these are our guests coming up here, Assemblyman Terrence Baines and Coordinator Michelle Boris of the Community Development, Youth and Sport. They're going to be joining us just after the break this morning. But we're going to head on over into Tobago in Focus. Viewers, even as you share the live, share the live, share the live.
World Consumer Rights Day theme for 2023 is Empowering Consumers Through Clean Energy Transition. The theme aims to focus on the role of consumers to push for a faster, clean energy transition. Larger countries have already begun doing so and are currently asking that smaller countries and islands do away with carbon energy.
The more developed countries can afford to do that because they would have established themselves, established the economy, have the standard of living so high based on the carbon energy that they would have used for production for years. Now, the smaller countries like ourselves who are in third world status, we are now trying to establish ourselves and our access is carbon energy. So what do?
Trinidad and Tobago's current access is carbon energy. However, consumers can practice conservation by other means.
When you're not using a light, you turn it off.
Right.
Instead of driving to go certain places, you can walk or you can cycle. So those are what we are really pushing at Consumer Affairs, because for us to tell consumers to cut down on carbon energy, tell the country to cut down on carbon energy, we might be shooting ourselves in the foot.
The Consumer Affairs Division also deals with consumers' rights and responsibilities, the importance of knowing and exercising your right.
Consumers, you know your rights. We have been doing pretty good in Tobago. I must say between the last 5 to 10 years, consumers are quite aware of their rights, like your right to redress, your right to choice, your right to choose. Those are good. Your right to consumer education. All those are rights that we should have as consumers. We should be practicing. But what consumers are not doing properly is to adhere to your responsibilities.
If consumers do not practice their responsibilities, certain rights can become defunct. Consumers have a right to choose, but many do not understand that they have a responsibility to shop around and get information regarding products before purchasing.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Never a dull moment on set. We've got chatting with us this morning Assemblyman Terrence Baines, the Secretary for the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport. Along with him, Michelle Boris, Coordinator for Community Development, Youth Development and Sport. And viewers, this morning our focus is, they're going to give us a synopsis on ComDev's recent Jamaica trip. As well, we're going to get some information on their social and community development programs. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning to all our viewers, and we are very thankful for the opportunity to sit here with your good self.
All right, it was always good to have you with us. Let's kick things off this morning by chatting about your recent trip to Jamaica. Remind our viewers this morning of the purpose of this trip. Was it all fun and games, as many would like to believe?
Yeah, easy. Well, you would remember that some months ago, well, even before that, the Chief Secretary was announcing that we want to move to a place where we have district financing, community financing, so that these communities can be empowered to engage in projects and stuff in the community that is of paramount importance to them. It really is a seed act in the sense that we want to arrive at a place where there is a kind of devolution of power in the communities, where everybody don't look to the center. You know, it takes the pressure off the center, empowers the community to be innovative and so on. And they, for the most part, know the things that are important to them and the things that they want to prioritize in the various districts, as against like the executive sitting in a place and making those decisions on behalf of the communities. And we intend to roll this out in all 15 constituencies here in Tobago. And so the idea was to start with a seed, I call it a seed act, if you want to put it that way, $150,000 per constituency or per community, per area or district. And in order for us to do that effectively, obviously, we needed to have a foolproof framework to be the point of reference for the delivering of, for the billing out of that, of this particular ideal. And so we did some work on our own, and Ms. Boris, you know, and her team been exceptional in terms of putting the foundations together and policies and so on. But we knew that Jamaica had a very good program actually working, and so we thought it was prudent, because of the nature of this this whole bill out. You know, we wanted to make sure that we dot all the I's and cross all the T's. Obviously, we gathered some information from the Commonwealth CDF. They have some plans and some principles and stuff that are functional in some other jurisdictions. But what we heard about Jamaica, we felt it was prudent to see that firsthand and see how it works and so on, and have that impact what we were doing in terms of our final policy document and so on. And it was an amazing journey. It was an inspirational one. It was certainly an educational one, and we feel that we are now ready for the final touches on the proposal. Well, not the proposal. I'm sorry, my words are not coming too well today. The final touches on the policy itself.
The draft.
Yes, and then we begin to roll this out in the communities.
All right. Now, I know that communities differ based on the islands. In terms of the similarities that you would have seen or experienced from Tobago and Jamaica, what did you notice? I mean, how similar are we? How different are we? Or, you know, give us an idea in terms of what you saw.
Well, I mean, there is a commonality with all of us in the Caribbean region. There's no question about that. I mean, Jamaica, size, topography, mentality of the people, and that kind of thing. Those things kind of stood out to me more than anything else, especially their drive to run their own affairs. It seems to me this philosophy that we have about moving towards management of our own affairs, you know, whatever we call that, self-determination, internal self-government. But we see that to me was manifested in the thinking of the people. You understand? I mean, some of the communities that we visited, I mean, you know, there are some poverty areas and those kinds of things, but the people themselves found ways to innovatively service their communities and try to treat with their problems and so as much as they could have with very little resources. When I say resources, I'm talking about actually cash, you know, coming from the government. What the government seemed to be providing was policy directions and the legal framework for them to operate and do what they wanted to do. But in terms of innovation, coming together as communities, as individuals, and finding the resource themselves, we saw that, and that really inspired me.
All right, let's chat a little bit here with Michelle Boris, coordinator. Michelle, always a pleasure having you on the program.
Good morning, Ria.
Good morning.
Good morning to the listening and viewing public.
But you were also a part of this team that went off to Jamaica.
Yes.
In terms of the community programs, I say pastor, bishop, bishop, pastor, assemblyman beings. It said a little while ago that you were managing the team that was able to put the framework for this program together. In terms of what you were able to observe and take away from that Jamaica trip, Grenada somehow is on my mind this morning, but from that Jamaica trip, tell us some of what you were able to take away based on what you know of Tobago.
Sure. Jamaica being the largest Caribbean island in the Commonwealth with a population of approximately 3 million people, Tobago can fit into Jamaica so many times. And looking at the programs, the social intervention programs in Jamaica, what I took away from that is the patriotic nature of the people. How involved they were in their respective communities, how much they loved their Jamaica, that's one. And two, the involvement of the private sector in these community grassroots projects in terms of their support financially and otherwise. That I took away from that. So you're seeing an excellent marriage between the government of the day and the private sector in terms of ensuring that grassroots projects at the community level are identified, approved, managed, monitored by the community. So at the level of the parliamentarians, in their case, our case, assemblymen, you find that there is a clarion call through these projects, through the Constituency Development Fund, for the parliamentarians to be responsible for their respective constituencies. And with that being said, they are responsible for ensuring that they meet regularly with their constituents, drizzle down into what the basic needs of the constituents are, because in many cases sometimes if there's a disconnect between the people and their various representatives, the projects that are mandatory or projects that are necessary for the building and the equipping of these communities are the projects that never get done. So there is that whole connection from the community level. Who else better to know what the community needs than the communities themselves? And with these regular meetings between the parliamentarians and the communities, various faith-based, community-based groups of all natures and kinds, NGOs and so on, and members of the different private sector organizations, you find that each community is different in Jamaica. Just like in Tobago, as our faces differ, so our communities differ, and the needs of these communities also differ. And with that, the priority projects are determined by the communities or the constituencies. Some may have a monetary attachment, some may not. But all the projects are discussed, are decided, are ranked as to the priority for the particular fiscal. Because the release of funding to the Constituency Development Fund, it's a pool that is administered through the Office of the Prime Minister in their case. And there is a subcommittee of the House of Representatives that approves the respective projects coming out of the constituencies. From that, within the Office of the Prime Minister, there is a Constituency Development Fund project implementation unit that is responsible for the administration, management, and dissemination of funding towards these projects.
Now, again, every community is different. How do we begin the discussion and the move, the drive to change the mindset of these communities away from dependence on the government, dependence on the THA, to being a little bit more self-sufficient, being a little bit more independent. You know, we see scenarios day in, day out. There is a pothole in your community. It is distressing all of us. We all have to pass through this bocus in the road. But we will sit and wait until the government, the THA, does something about it. We will quarrel. We will picket. We will take action. We will strike. We will encourage young persons to block the roads. We will not sit and decide, let us raise funds, let us do X, Y, Z to repair this, because this is our community. There is a drug block on the community. We will not take action against it. We will sit and wait until the THA decides to do something about it. The church will not stand up against it. The community will not stand up against it. But we will sit and wait. How do we begin to change the mindsets?
Well, I mean, I think that the area reps would have to take the lead in this evangelization, obviously.
I like how you term it.
You understand? And I have to say that since we started talking about this, that there's been a growing interest in the communities. I'm sure we are not at the place that we really want to be in terms of a holistic changing of mentality. But there's been some interest. I suspect it is because reward sweetens labor. You understand? But there is some interest, and I know that we as the area reps we'll have to kind of fly this flag. We're not sure in terms of timeline how long it's going to take, but I think that when we begin rolling out the thing and we are going to look at where we are and you know, and kind of do a litmus test as to the response of the population, because I feel that human beings innately have the capacity to be independent. You know, we as individuals, you will find that we may face certain challenges in this life's journey, but we find a way to be innovative. There are times when, especially if your life, your survival depends on it, you will find a way. So it's not that we don't have the ability, but if you have been nurtured in an environment where everything is provided for you, you will begin to think and you begin to live that way, because that is so. It will take some work to move people away from that. And I think the whole philosophy of the importance of government and the role of government and so on, those things, those are conversations that we have to have about this present time and season. We have resource challenges and all of that, and we have to be innovative now to see how we use the resources that we have and how we can explore other sources of income and so on. And I think that the independence of the people of Tobago, the independence that we have, that is in our history, that independence have been diffused over the years by various reasons, but I think that we have to find a way to reignite that passion and reignite that fire in the average Tobagoan, and of wanting to take charge of your own destiny, you know, wanting to take charge of the community. And just the point you just raised a while ago is so acid, in that people will drive around a pothole there, and that pothole, it could be fixed with some concrete and whatever. And I'm not saying that it does not take away from the responsibility of the division. No. But the division of works, for instance, is just stretched. You understand? Because we have not recovered from the damages of October last year yet. You know? Remember, we are still working on the infrastructure and trying to rectify some of those problems. And that infrastructure was aging prior to all these things. So there were fixes that were needed. You understand? So while Secretary James and his team, and they are doing works all over the island, they may not be able to come to a pothole in front of your house. You understand? That has been there for some months, and you can do one or two things. You can complain, and you can have a protest or whatever, or you can have, as a community, you come together and say, maybe we could just mix a little concrete and put this in the whole.
Use it as an opportunity to teach even the young persons in the community how to mix cement.
Yes.
How to apply.
Indeed.
How to repair.
Indeed. And so I think that this district funding is is we are trying to partner with the community, really. You understand what I'm saying? We want to do this thing together. And I think that once we're able to roll this out and roll it out effectively, that is going to drive where we're trying to get to ideally.
Right, I think it's about
yes, just to add to what Pastor Baines is saying, there's a word that comes to mind when we speak about, in terms of answering or adding to the answer to your question, inclusiveness. If I feel as part of
when there's buy-in,
the decision-making process, you will find it will be easier for me to give my contribution in whatever way. You know, from a community development standpoint, we always talk about sustainable community development. And that is evolving, right? With the different players in the game, persons must feel a part of the process. Information must be shared all around for persons to be part of this whole process. And with this whole community development funding, it is an avenue, it is a vehicle, a tool where funding can be provided for grassroots projects. You know, bursaries to children for educational purposes. In some cases, I've seen in Jamaica, different sums are allocated for response to disasters in various communities as a quick response to a number of social ills that communities are faced with that require some type of financial intervention.
So tell us at this time what the division is offering, who can access it, and how?
Yeah. Well, the community development really the rollout of this program will be under the purview of community development. All the attendant supporting systems will be activated for this process. And it will be, like I said, rolled out in all 15 constituencies. We want to make the point and make it abundantly clear that this is not at all an attempt by the state to negate its responsibility to its citizens, but rather to enhance the governance landscape and to have a more people-centered approach as it relates to the development of the island. And as Ms. Boris rightfully said, when people are a part of what is taking place, you get more, and you get no government has all the ideas. You understand? None of us that sit at the executive council know everything about every constituency, but certainly the people that live there, they have some ideas, and they are more knowledgeable of the things that they need more than us. And so this is the liaison activity that is supposed to take place between the area rep and the persons in the communities and so on. That would certainly have to be a matter that will be optimized. You understand? So it will compel area reps as well to be more intimately involved in the various communities and so on. So it is ideally what we are looking at is a partnership for the development of the island.
All right.
You know?
Thank you. Ms. Boris, you wanted to add?
Just to add, in our information seeking and networking mission, that's what I call it, in observing what Jamaica has done with this CDF, they have based their CDF largely on the principles and guidelines of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. And from these guidelines, you have things such as transparency, accountability, that whole inclusiveness, monitoring and evaluation, administration and management. All of these are form part of what is used to guide. So whereas you have the whole idea of adopting this CDF or the Tobago's version of it, you have a policy, and this policy addresses this need to include communities in their own development at a grassroots level. So you have your policy is submitted to the subcommittee developed from the House of Representatives. That policy now, once approved, under the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, there will be now a project implementation section, unit, if you want to call it that. That's part of the whole thing for the administration and management and dissemination of funds to these various constituencies that have been approved by the subcommittee.
So at what stage is the program at this point?
Right.
And I mean, my director is saying here that we've got to wrap things.
Well, we almost there. Actually, the journey that journey would have informed. We just needed, outside of the information that we had gathered and where we were with the policy, we just needed an additional amount of information, and this journey really helped us with that. So we expect that in the coming week. We just had a setback this week, but in the coming week, we shall have the full framework that will come to the Executive Council and so on, and we will be ready to roll out thereafter.
And so you will be back with us to give us a further idea of...
If you compel us so to do.
Thank you so much. But as we're wrapping up with you both, I want to share very quickly here 2 comments coming in on the live. It's irresponsible to expect the community to do the work the state should do. I can agree with community involvement as per self-help, but not communities doing it on their own. And I don't think that's what we were saying.
Of course not.
As well, another comment coming in here from Ostra Trotman. Inclusiveness, yes, but we must also holistically regain our pride in our Tobago and stop making it about self-help and political party.
I mean, and I think that this program, this project really is a step in that direction.
A step in that direction. And I trust that August Alfred understands the direction in which the conversation was going, and where the division is certainly headed to allow persons to be, to have that buy-in. This is where I live, let me be proud of where I live, let me contribute to where I live. Yeah? All right, so thank you so much again for being with us this morning. Assemblyman Terrence Baines, Assemblyman Bishop Pastor Terrence Baines. Got to put it in, and Coordinator Michelle Boris. You should see his face in the corner.
You're having fun. Like you're having fun with this thing.
Yes, certainly. Always a pleasure chatting with you on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. There was lots more coming up on the program. You don't want to miss it. We're going to, in fact, Adana's going to be chatting with Alison Campbell when we come back, and she's the reservation supervisor attached to the Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort. She's going to be on our program as we talk about the Magdalena for Jazz 2023. All right, so that's coming up, viewers, and this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Victory belongs to Jesus.
The Tobago Jazz Experience 2023, The Return, commences on Thursday, April 20th at the Shaw Park Complex for Gospel Night. Come join us from 6 p.m. for performances from Todd Dulaney, Jonathan Nelson, Positive, Samuel Madas, Blessed Messenger, Chosen Remnant, Chantal Lindsay, and much more. This all-white affair is a night of praise and worship you don't want to miss. Let's come together and celebrate as the stars of gospel unite for one night only. Get your tickets now, either online or at ticket outlets nationwide. Also, check the Festival Commission's website at www.tobagofestivalcommission.com or call 639-4441. Come enjoy Tobago Jazz Experience 2023, The Return. Much more than music.
Tobago, it's time to go. Sweet like
Tobago, here's the real deal. Nothing sweeter than when your internet fast all day, every day. I telling you, it's real nice when your home internet and TV package fit your budget. Well, if that's what you want, you're safe with Digicel Plus. Sign up or switch to Digicel Plus now and pay $0 for 1 month. Plus, plans start as low as $199 and you get installed for free. Visit digiceltt.com or a Digicel store now.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates. I am Adana Combi and we're having a good time in studio. Our guests are ready and primed to go. It is now 7:39 a.m. You still have a few minutes to get to work if you're going for 8 a.m. Remember to take your time on the nation's roads. We don't want any accidents today. It's a beautiful sunshine day. And today we're talking about the Tobago Jazz Experience. Jazz is in the air. We're starting this Thursday and things are getting steamy. And our guest right now is none other than the reservation supervisor of the Magdalena Grand Resort. And she is Miss Alison Campbell. And today we're going to be talking about all things jazz that is taking place at the Magdalena Grand. Good morning, and welcome to our program.
Good morning, Adana. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning to all your viewers.
Right, it's a pleasure to have you here. So you know, of course, when you hear about the Magdalena, you're thinking about accommodations and rates because people want to know, Yeah, I mean, sometimes they might, even our local guests, they want a change of scenery, they want some place to stay or whatever for this particular period because they doesn't want to have that experience, right? That inclusive experience. Yes. So we want to know how much you have to pay to stay by the Magdalena. Tell us about your packages. Tell us about your rates that you have for locals, internationals, whatever your rates are. We want to know a little bit more about it.
Okay, thank you, Adana. We cater for all at the Magdalena, whether you be couples, whether you be singles, whether you be friends and family, we cater for everyone. And at the Magdalena, we have rates that are affordable to everyone. So currently, our rate is $12.99 TT per night, and that is a rate that we are running for our jazz period. And that is for our deluxe oceanfront room with a king-size bed, and it's inclusive of breakfast. And that is for 2 persons. So we have affordable rates. If you wish to come with 2 adults and 2 children, you can have a rate of $14.99 TT per night, and this is for all our local guests in Tobago and Trinidad.
Right. And what period is that rate running from? I didn't get that.
Currently, we are running that from the 20th to the 25th of April.
Right, so that's Thursday to next week, Tuesday.
Yes.
So that's a good span, good rates, sung and good so far. So we kind of going to be booking rooms at the Magdalena because we want to get in there and to capitalize on those rates.
Definitely.
But I need a little bit more incentivize this whole thing. I want to be able to say, well, okay, I get this reduced rate, but what else? And I know that you guys have some things up your sleeves. So let's hear about that.
Yes. At the Magdalena, we want to let you all have a jazz experience as well. So we are offering 2 tickets to Tobago Jazz International Night on the Sunday. That is for 2 persons to experience this exciting event, which is one of our main events. All you have to do is book with us to qualify. You book from today until Thursday, our promotional rate, and you qualify. A minimum of 2 nights is one of our conditions, and you qualify to have a chance to win that ticket.
So all of you who are looking for tickets for Jazz for International Nights, and you also want to have the experience of being a tourist in your own space, book with the Magdalena from Thursday, you said. So you have the qualifications are you must book from Thursday to
To Tuesday.
To Tuesday. Okay, so the competition opens or your qualification begins from Thursday. So you're booking from Thursday, a minimum of 2 nights stay, and you can win 2 tickets to the international night. I think that's the most coveted event for the jazz experience based on word on the ground.
Yes.
So bear that in mind while you continue listening to what else the Magdalena Grand has to offer us. Tell us about some of your resort activities, things that we can expect. Should we book or should we spend our stay at the resort? What can we expect when we get there? What is our experience going to be like?
You are going to have a tremendous experience. We are just coming off of Easter, which has been really good. So we're into the jazz. So for this, we have a guest services activities group that does a tremendous work with our guests. And they would offer poolside activities, games you play during the day, which are exciting. I love to see some of our videos in terms of what they have been doing. It's very good. And we also have our 3 swimming pools. We have 1 main pool and 2 smaller satellite pools. We have our gym. It's a 24-hour gym, and it offers sauna facilities as well. We also have bicycles on property that you can ride the grounds. It's really remarkable to see the landscape. And this guests, usually this is the first thing they do. Once they put their bags down, they just take a ride on the grounds to experience this. All right? So we have a lot of activities, as well as with the pool volleyball, and beach volleyball. We also offer that as well.
Okay, and are these services or activities, are they complementary to your stay, or are they add-ons, or how does that work?
These services are complementary. Wow. This is what we offer at the Magdalena. If you're looking for additional services, this will be like our golf. We have our PJ golf course. That is an additional charge, as well as we have a spa services on property. You book your appointment and they take care of you as well.
Wow, this is really exciting. This is really, I mean, it's kind of so self-indulgent. It gives you an actual holistic experience, which is what I like about this package, you know. So for you, those of you who are still undecisive of where you're going to stay, those of you coming across from Trinidad or from wherever you're coming from, or even our locals here in Tobago, you want to have that kind of tourist experience. You want to have a holistic jazz experience. I'm a tourist in my own land. The Magdalena Grand is a good pick for you to stay. Remember, if you book from Thursday, you stand a chance to win 2 tickets to the international night. As I said, I think it's the most coveted event. Everybody wants tickets for international night. So if you're looking for that, Magdalena is one of the best. Yes. I mean, it's from what I'm hearing today, I think it's a really good choice to make, right? And what type of sort of resort entertainment? Because I know we spoke briefly while we were waiting about entertainment at the resort. What type of entertainment can we expect? I know we have all these activities, we have the ticket giveaway, we have the rates. What else could you possibly be bringing to the table for this year's jazz experience?
We offer a lot, Adana.
Right.
I'm glad you asked. Tonight, or Thursday night, Thursday is our Latin night. And from the 20th, you would get a chance. Guests who are in-house, they experience that Latin flavor. We have a group that comes in, and you could do this Latin night for free. Just come, relax, and enjoy. All right? We also have our buffet on Friday. It's live entertainment at the poolside. This is one of our signature events at the hotel because guests enjoy themselves. They are free to get up, dance, do the conga line, everything they do during that. And Saturday, this is for all locals. You don't need to be on the property. You can come. The karaoke is one of our special events as well. So this is what we are offering in terms of entertainment. We also have Sunday night at the Tobago Lounge. That is a couple's night. We also offer our Kalina restaurant as well. They are fine dining, so you can book and enjoy your romantic dinner as well.
Wow, so there's never a dull moment at the Magdalena Grand. There's always something happening. And even if you've managed to, even if you can't make it to all the jazz events, there's something happening there, even for our local tourists, right? And I like the Latin night. Go back to the Latin night a little bit for me. I know you said for the Friday night you could dance, you could join them, but on the Latin night, this is dancing as well, right? You get up and you dance.
This is dancing as well. They actually train you
Right, so they teach you Latin moves and Latin steps and stuff like that.
Yes,
Ooh.
and that is exciting.
And this is for guests only, or I could pass through?
No, you could come to the hotel.
Right,
it's at the Tobago lounge, so you're free to
And is it free or is there a cover charge?
You come in.
So guys, those of you who are not staying at the Magdalena like me, if you wish, until this is Friday night, Thursday night, you could pass by and learn a little 1-2, a little 1-2, kind of, you know, on the Latin night. So the Magdalena Grand is offering all of this for this jazz period.
Yes.
It really is a good offer, I think, and in keeping with the theme, which is the Tobago Jazz Experience. They're giving you a holistic experience, and they're giving you an opportunity to experience a part of what Tobago Jazz Experience is. Miss Campbell, we are so happy that you joined us this morning and that you were able to give us all this information, and I think we are the better for it. Now we have a greater choice to make when picking our hotel to stay at for Tobago Jazz Experience, right? We are going to take a break now, but before we go for the break, remember the Magdalena Grand and all that they're offering. Remember to book from Thursday night to win your 2 tickets, and remember all the activities and entertainment that they offer. Before we go to the break, I'm reminding you that I am Adana Kambi, and I'm asking you to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be back.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. October will never be better with Tobago Carnival fever. Book your passage and come on over.
To the end of the road. On Sunday, April 23rd, the parade grounds at the Dwight York Stadium will transform for International Night, featuring Grammy Award winners, Boys to Men, and Cuffy.
Where will we go?
Also gracing the stage, Vanette Bigford, Theron Shaw, Tony Paul, Sharon Phillips, and much more. Get your tickets now. Check the Tobago Festivals Commission's website at www.tobagofestivalscommission.com for more, or call them at 639-4441. Come enjoy Tobago Jazz Experience 2023, The Return. Much more than music.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are still chatting here, Adana and I, and maybe we should be shifting a little bit, Adana, to jazz.
Yes.
We're talking jazz. So Thursday night we've got the Tobago Gospel
Jazz.
All right. And then we continue the rollout. You know, just yesterday someone was asking me about Speyside, indicating Speyside is the free one, right? I said, not this year.
They're not run out with that, yeah.
So if you don't have all of the information and you decide to go to Speyside, assuming that you'll just sit on the sidelines of the field,
not at all,
and be entertained, you've got another thing coming.
Better work with your Vex money. Because you have to pay to enter. Yes,
that's right.
That's right. And then, of course, we have the International Night, which is on Sunday at the White York Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. I saw them building the stage there, and I can't wait for it to be completed, because I'm like, okay, this is a little different. Let's see how it's going to end. Let's see how it's going to, you know, what it's going to look like. So they're gearing up. We're getting there step by step, day by day. I mean, the countdown is on. Today is already Tuesday.
Yep.
So this thing is starting on Thursday. We have 2 more days. Those of you who don't have your tickets yet, those of you who haven't decided which event you're going to attend, time counting down, get your monies, get your outfit, get your hair, your nails, whatever it is you need to get your pussy, and decide on which event you're going to attend, because jazz is here.
That's right. And just to remind them as well, that Thursday night is an all-white affair, I understand?
Yes, it's an all-white affair. I guess for purity, that's a good idea. Didn't think about that. But yeah, it's an all-white affair for the gospel jazz. So that should be exciting and interesting. And as I said, of course, you know, my boy singing for me, as we spoke about this yesterday.
That's right.
My boy singing for me. Yeah, so it's an exciting time.
Yeah, it is. And I know that you were hinting at the Boys to Men.
Yes, sir.
You had some comments to make
and I'm going to make my comments, but So we're talking about International Nights, and Boys to Men is, of course, one of the lead head and the acts. But what I want to ask you, our viewers, especially those of you who born after, let me say 1980, 1990, what do you know about Boys to Men? What do you know about Boys to Men? Tell me a song, not End of the Road. Everybody on the planet know that song. What do you know about Boys to Men? Anybody born after 1980, 1990, thereabouts? What do you know about Boys to Men? But anyway,
you know, they may surprise you.
It's true. It's true. But I mean, that's big people thing. You know, I think Boys to Men is big people thing. You have to be a certain age to be qualified to speak informatively on Boys to Men. We're laughing. But I think I don't know why we think this is so funny, but it's true, and I want to know what all you know. I really want to know. But I mean, we have other guests, we have other artists lined up as well, and I think it's going to be a good show. And if I have my way, I'll be at all of them. Or I might be at home sleeping. Let's see. Let's weigh the options.
So true. And some of our local acts, we've got Anomaly performing in Speyside. We've got Kishon Julian performing for the International Night. You know, and the list goes on. We've got Positive for the Gospel Night, and the list goes on and on and on and on.
But listen, Trinidad and Tobago especially, we have some real good talent, you know.
We do.
We have a lot of good quality, high standard talent. You just mentioned Positive, Blessed Messenger also coming up, you know. These people, I mean, you know, when somebody takes some time and invests in their talent, you kind of see it being displayed in the art form and the platform that they're rising on. You could see the investment, you could see the growth, because I remember when some of them started off, I mean, they started off good, and then you could see the progression. So I know that it's quality acts that we're going to be experiencing at the Jazz Experience, and even other events that we will have in Tobago, and when they represent us on international stages.
Most definitely. So we're certainly looking forward to that. And again, things start off from Thursday at the gospel jazz at Shore Park, I believe, from 6 p.m.
Right. So when you go home from work, sort out yourself quick,
run down to Shore Park because you don't even want to miss the national anthem if they're singing that.
If you get home from work.
That's the next thing.
Yeah, if you go home from work, if you you could just decide to go
straight
directly. All right, so it's all coming up. But lots more coming up. We've got GMT coming up in just a little while with Chanel Felix. And, of course, tomorrow being Wednesday, we've got the youth show on tomorrow with Dwayne, Luke, and Kaylee. So that's coming up tomorrow. And we want to mention again that Julian will be back with us from next week, Monday. So we trust that wherever he is, that he remains quite safe. Yeah.
And that he enjoys himself. He enjoys his rest or whatever it is, you know. I'm enjoying myself here, Julian. So I'm just hoping that me being here is allowing you to enjoy whatever you are doing on this break.
That's right.
But he's well.
That's right. All right, so it's all coming up. It's all coming up on the program. And just to connect with some of our viewers on the live, Troy Murray, good morning to you. He said, yes, Magdalena, the best. Yes, Troy, we know you'd say that, and that is very correct. Onika Duke, book now, 660-8800. I tell you, these Magdalena Grand Beach and Golf Resort employees are certainly putting themselves out there, sending the numbers on the live. That's right, and putting the services, putting your product out there. All right, yes, come out in your numbers. It is an experience you won't regret. And this is Desireen Blair indicating. Lisa Savitri Mohammed says, friendly and loving staff, always eager to assist and provide excellent service, and that is very true. I don't know if you've ever been there, Adana.
Yes, I have. And, you know, it really is that it gives you an experience, you know? It gives you a really, really good experience. So this is something I will buy into. This is something I will definitely buy into. I'm seeing Jason Martin here saying, I believe this is the manager, if I'm not mistaken, plenty sports activities, football, cricket, 24 hours, lawn tennis, sports, fishing, right? So there is a lot going on at the Magdalena. So,
and it's where you can also go, Jason Martin says, best place to stay in Trinidad and Tobago, business, leisure, and that is very correct. If you're here on business, the Magdalena Grand. If you're here for leisure, just to chill, relax, lay back, the Magdalena. All right? All right, so we are getting ready to say goodbye to our viewers this morning. Adana, thank you again for a lovely day.
Thank you, thank you.
And we look forward to doing it all again on Thursday morning with you. So viewers, thank you so much for joining us today. We've had a great morning with you, and for those of you connecting with us on the live or YouTube or M&E TV, Gael, we say good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We're going to be heading over to GMT in a little bit, but just before we go, just to remind you that we're also heading into Tobago Notes. So viewers, don't move from where you are. We've got lots more coming up this morning on the Tobago Updates, on the Tobago Updates channel. So, continue to share the live, share the live, share the live.
The house is like 2 bedrooms, a toilet, the room, kitchen. The size is like 11 by 10, bathroom like normal concept, have a living room, full dining room here. I say completion on this building, so it will be about 2 weeks time max. We're doing a cladding on the outside, the inside is a fire rating board, gypsum ceiling, right? And well, normal tiles and stuff on the ground.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Victory belongs to Jesus.
The Tobago Jazz Experience 2023, The Return, commences on Thursday, April 20th at the Shore Park Complex for Gospel Night. Come join us from 6 p.m. for performances from Todd Dulaney, Jonathan Nelson, Positive, Samuel Madas, Blessed Messenger, Chosen Remnant, Chantal Lindsay, and much more. This all-white affair is a night of praise and worship you don't want to miss. Let's come together and celebrate as the stars of gospel unite for one night only. Get your tickets now, either online or at ticket outlets nationwide. Also, check the Festival Commission's website at www.tobagofestivalcommission.com or call 639-4441. Come enjoy Tobago Jazz Experience 2023, The Return. Much more than music.
Tobago, it's time to go.
Geld in die eigene
Sweet like Tobago.
Tobago, here's the real deal. Nothing sweeter than when your internet fast all day, every day. I telling you, it's real nice when your home internet and TV package fit your budget. Well, if that's what you want, you're safe with Digicel Plus. Sign up or switch to Digicel Plus now and pay $0 for 1 month. Plus, plans start as low as $199 and you get installed for free. Visit digiceltt.com or a Digicel store now.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have to get your morning started and asking those questions that you want to know. Now, a lot has been unfolding, and so this morning we're going to start off with your news in 90 seconds. So following the vote of several hundred individuals, the Tobago People's Party was chosen as the name for the island's newest political party. The Tobago People's Party was formed by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine and his followers, gathered at the Shore Park Complex yesterday. Augustine proudly announced the party name chosen by registered members, saying it set a precedent for how all future party decisions would be made. After the party is registered with the EBC, its symbol and color would be revealed. The Tobago People's Party will hold a convention at a later date to ratify its constitution and elect an executive. Additionally, the mother of a Scarborough Secondary School student launched legal action against the school's principal. According to the woman's attorney, Martin George, she was banned from entering the school's compound without any reason on June 11, 2022. While visiting the school, security guards said that she was not allowed to enter the compound. She further claimed that she was not told why, nor was she given the chance to contest the decision. After failed attempts through her attorney to seek answers from both the school and the Division of Education, Innovation and Technology, the matter is now up for judicial review. And finally, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said that with 8 different ministers of national security over the past 11 years, crime continues to infect the country. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of the CARICOM Crime Symposium at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, refuting calls for the resignation of National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines and applauding his efforts. Dr. Rowley said that crime has not eased up with the efforts of any of the ministers. Meanwhile, he explains that crime is a financial burden on the health sector, as he revealed the cost to treat a head wound from a violent crime is $170,000, while $135,000 is needed to treat a chest wound and $100,000 for a leg wound. And that was your news in 90 seconds. So guys, as we jump into this morning's conversation, we're going to start off with our last news story, which was that CARICOM Crime Symposium at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. And so this year, the theme was violence as a public health issue, the crime challenge. And to have this conversation with me this morning, I'm joined by a very familiar face to Tobago Updates, the former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Gary Griffith, who always makes the time to sit and chat with us once he has that time. So good morning, Mr. Griffith, and thank you so much for taking the time out to chat about the symposium that was held.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Always my pleasure.
Great. So you did not take part in the symposium at all, not even as a guest, but I'm guessing that you would have watched it online live along with the rest of us.
Yes. I wasn't invited for obvious reasons. When it is you have ego and bitterness taking precedence over trying to do what is right for the country and circle the wagons, that was expected. So yes, I was. I did see it. In a nutshell, what I can say is that it is unfortunate. I think that there was a golden opportunity here and we have lost it. Trying to get all the politicians to circle the wagons and blame everyone under the sun, which is what is happening now. This is what politicians do well. And me being a politician, I know it. But the difference is you have to be a patriot before a politician. They brought all these leaders together, and what they're going to do is they're going to blame judges, they're going to blame society, they're going to blame the community, they're going to blame teachers, they're going to blame parents, they're going to blame everybody other than the individuals themselves. So even at the front page, you blame the judges. The reason the judges can give bail for persons who commit murder is because you as a politician have that in your law. So don't come and blame the judges when the judges, you leave the judges with the flexibility and you want the judges to make a decision based on their conscience. But you as a politician could say, look, it is mandatory that you should not, if you're held with a firearm, you should not have bail for 120 days. And you go, or if it is murder, it should be a non-bailable offense. So what we are seeing now is politicians trying to deflect the issue. And that is exactly what Fitzgerald Hines has also done when he said that it is not the role of politicians to come up with an anti-crime plan. But what is the reason for the crime symposium then? It must be to come up with something good. I would have expected that if you want something of value here, instead of bringing politicians with absolutely no knowledge whatsoever in law enforcement, what should have happened is have the heads of the police service, the defense force, the intelligence agencies, those three individuals from each of the CARICOM countries meet. This happened a few decades ago. It was known as SINSEC. Every year they would meet for 2 or 3 days to come up with a proper template to deal with transnational crime around the region. This year is going to be nothing other than a talk shop and something very cosmetic to deflect from the country the incompetence of the present government to deal with the issue.
Former Commissioner of Police, you would understand and you would know, especially as a politician now, that there are some fundamental social issues that lead to the crime that we see being faced in Trinidad and in Tobago. But when we speak specifically to Trinidad, there are some underlying social issues that you think these conferences should really focus on in regards to prevention. Can you tell us about any of those social issues that you think should be taking precedence in these conversations?
Oh, excellent question. Excellent. I think I have been in about 10 interviews in the last 24 hours. I think this is one of the best questions. Well done. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because what you have just done is to expose the shortcomings of what is known as criminologists in Trinidad and Tobago. That is the role of a criminologist to do. And a criminologist's role is very critical towards reducing crime in a country. Criminology is now a science. It is no longer based on guess and belief and just giving your personal views. What you have done, the only way you can come up with proper solutions to those social issues is via criminologists doing interviews with felons, with young persons who may be affected by crime. And from there, you'll be able to understand what is the issue as it pertains to the country, because each country will have a different threat assessment as it pertains to what you just spoke about, which is known as secondary crime prevention. Primary involves law enforcement, hard targeting, patrols, roadblocks, policing. Tertiary is the criminal justice system. Secondary involves the social aspects and avenues to try to get persons to turn away from a life of crime by utilizing their energies in the right manner. So that is a critical issue. That is not done properly in this country because we have no criminologists, none, who actually do what a criminologist is supposed to do. Go to the prisons, do interviews, have a meet with persons who have been affected by crime. And then when you do these interviews, you're able now to package and realize this seems to be the issue. So, for example, when it is that when they said that unemployment was not a concern for crime. When Fitzgerald Hines said the jury is still out, it shows his ignorance in understanding criminology, because in the United Kingdom, 95% of felons who are arrested for robbery, they were asked by the criminologist, why did you commit the robbery? And they said it's because of unemployment and the need for money. It is not justification, but it shows the importance of the government now needing to find avenues to reduce the unemployment level. And those are the type of things that criminologists should do. But what they do here, they sit back, they wait for the media to call them, and they give their personal views, which does nothing to direct us as to how best to solve the problem. So for it to be done, it certainly cannot be done by politicians going in Hyatt and giving their personal view as to how best we can improve the social shortcomings, because each island may have a different social shortcoming, and you might need to put your resources in different manners, whether it is improvement in sport, role modeling, education, employment. So it will all vary, and that can only be done by criminologists doing and conducting interviews, so you can utilize those resources of social development in the right manner.
It has been the idea that floats around in the public domain that a lot of the crimes that we see taking place, and we see some of the lower level criminals being arrested, is just the public manifestation of a deeper crime network that includes a lot of more influential persons, richer persons who we would never ever see being arrested on the streets. What are your comments on that particular ideology in regards to crime in Trinidad and Tobago? There's always the idea that crime would never stop because the real criminals are never really being arrested.
And that was the reason why certain people wanted me removed as our commissioner of police, because that is exactly what I was doing. When I formed SORT, the Special Operation Response Team, they were polygraphed officers to ensure that no rogue police officer could cover the tracks or tip off those persons involved in white-collar crime. When I formed the white-collar crime unit, assembling the cyber crime unit, the FIB, the ACIB, and all of these different units under one, we were starting to pinpoint certain things to follow the money, to be able to target individuals who we believed were instrumental towards causing crime. And that is inclusive of this government that continues to give hundreds of millions of dollars in state contracts to criminal elements, and they do that, I can see that for no other reason other than to ensure that they will vote for them. So when it is you give a $5 million contract for a box drain to a gang, and the cost of the box drain is $1 million, they take that $4 million and utilize that now towards purchasing more weapons, putting more hits on other gang members to get their contracts. And this is all part of the process of senior persons with shirt and tie indirectly being involved in crime. So when I started targeting certain individuals, that is where it is I stepped on toes, and politicians realized this man is getting in it too deep. And that's why as soon as I left, they shut down SORT. The white-collar crime unit has now been virtually disbanded. And that is the sad thing. When politicians have that ability to manipulate the process of a commissioner of police because they believe that he is getting too close to us, it shows what is known as democratic dictatorship. So that is the reason why I've returned to be a politician again. So come 2025, I will continue where I left off as Commissioner of Police. I will continue where I left off as the Minister of National Security in 2015. In that period in 2015, it was the lowest number of serious crime in 31 years. My last year as Commissioner of Police, it was the highest reduction in violent crime in 30 years. I intend to continue to do exactly what you spoke about. There was a reason why they shut down SORT. There was a reason why it is they didn't want me there, because I was doing exactly what you spoke about. I was starting to get closer and closer to targeting those so-called big fish. And I stepped on those toes that affected certain individuals.
How do you feel the removal of a number of these units are currently affecting the crime situation that we see happening right now?
Yeah, well, it is definite. As the Minister of National Security, in total contrast to the false, misleading, and even ignorance of the comments by Fitzgerald Hines that the role of a Minister of National Security is not to come up with anti-crime plans. He is wrong, because that is what I did as Minister of National Security. And through the People's Partnership Government, we set up the National Operations Center, the Community Comfort Patrol, the Highway Patrol, the Rapid Response Unit, the Energy Sector Security Initiative, the National Security Special Operation Group, the National Security Training Academy. All of these things played a big part to ensure that it was the highest It was the lowest number of serious crime in 31 years. As soon as I left office and the government changed, they pulled the plug on all of these things, and then bam, you started seeing crime escalating. When I became Commissioner of Police, I reignited several of these things, where it is I formed the Special Operation Response Team, the White Collar Crime Unit, the Operational Command Center, the Emergency Response Patrol, GPS tracking of all vehicles to ensure an immediate response. So there we were now getting a 2 to 3 minute response to any distress call on most occasions. That is what caused the criminals to peg back, because they realized now that the product of opportunity was no longer there. As soon as I left, you have pulled the plug on all of these things. So the criminals know now there's no 999 system, there's no app reporting, there's no online reporting to tip off the police, there's no more technology where we can anticipate crime, which is known as predictive policing. So they know they can go at Residence nightclub, which is opposite the commissioner's residence, 2 minutes from St. James Station, and you can kill someone, and 45 minutes later is when the police will turn up. And this is no fault of the officers. So by doing that, and we can even look at Tobago. As the Minister of National Security with Tobago, I set up an arm of the National Operations Center. We had covert operatives in the police service working the beaches, put in proper systems at the ports to prevent illegal weapons and drugs entering the ports to get to Tobago. All of these things have been shut down, which has put Tobago even at higher risk. So yes, if it is that you pull the plug and you sabotage and you deliberately politicize national security, you're going to pay the price as what the country is getting now.
Now, I have a hard question to ask, and that question is, do you really think that this government wants to fight crime, or is it in their best interest to fight crime, seeing that a number of these crime-fighting mechanisms were removed?
No. The thing is, I know I'm an honest person. I mean, I don't like. I could easily use and say that the government, that they want this to happen. As it pertains, there may be individuals in government that may want this to happen because they benefit financially. This Prime Minister, I have never seen him as a person who will deliberately want criminals to succeed. I think he's very passionate about certain things. What the problem with him is that he lets his ego get the better of him. And his ego turns to bitterness and hatred and vindictiveness, and that takes precedence over what is right for the country. So you may have the difference in opinion with someone, and this is what happened with himself and myself. In cabinet in 2021, I was told by several ministers, he said that if he could get 10 Gary Griffiths, he could transform Trinidad and Tobago. When I decided not to reapply for the position as Commissioner of Police, he actually contacted the AG and told the AG to change the law, and the law was changed to ensure that I will act as Commissioner of Police after my term ended. Messages were sent to me to reapply. So that showed his confidence he had in me. When certain people got to him, he is very naive, and he took the bait because those individuals benefited from crime, and they realized there were certain things that I was doing that was affecting them. He took the bait, and instead of him appreciating the fact that you made a mistake because you were misled by questionable elements to do what you did, he will not swallow his ego and his pride to do what is right for the country. He'd rather see the country drown in blood. Up to now, you will think that if I'm a Prime Minister and I realize, look, this person, I despise that individual, but if I feel he can assist me, and I will do so. He would not. When he gets angry and upset, he does not let logic prevail. I, as a patriot, will be a patriot before a politician. I want the government to succeed. I want the Prime Minister to succeed. I want the Commissioner to succeed. And I will help them in any way that I can, because failure for me to do so will take away anything for me to consider myself a patriot. But because of pettiness, ego, arrogance, he will not do that, and he would rather see the country drown in blood than to say, look, let me speak to Gary Griffith and find out what it is that you did as a minister and as a commissioner that had crime going down. In fact, he has now tried to divert and mislead the country by stating that change of ministers of national security cannot reduce crime. That is a lie. For the last 30 years, every time the PNM has ministers of national security in government, be it Howard Chinley, Martin Joseph, Eddie Dillon, Stuart Young, or Fitzgerald Hines, crime has escalated, except for the year when I was commissioner. Every year, when the PNM is not in government, whether it is UNC or the People's Partnership, and the Minister of National Security, be it Joe Theodore, Basdio Pandey, John Sandy, Jack Warner, Gary Griffith, Carl Alfonso, crime has gone down. So it shows that the catalyst for crime reduction is the implementation of government policies, and the main person to be involved in that are the ministers of national security, who would draft the policies, formulate it, and then the law enforcement agencies will operationalize it. So the Prime Minister's statement that that it would change of ministers would not make a difference. It shows his ignorance in understanding national security. But I don't think that he wants crime to go up, because this is going to ensure the removal of PNM in 2025, and that's the last thing he wants. But because of his ego and his arrogance, he will not swallow his pride to do what is better for the country.
Right, and before we go to a quick break, I want to ask, what type of structure do you think would be most effective for these type of crime-fighting symposium?
Well, definitely one where not just the line Minister of National Security, but his experts. You need the technical persons there, because if you don't have that, you're going to have a talk shop, and that is what is going on now, because the politicians there have no knowledge in law enforcement, in criminology, in intelligence gathering. So they're just talking, and they're going to babble, and they're going to blame everything. They're going to talk about the community, social development, children, parents, teachers, even Fitzgerald Hines, pornographic music, pornographic material, violent music. So that is what they do. It becomes a talk shop. What should have happened is that bringing in the technical experts, that is where you'll have all the commissioners of police, all the chiefs of defense staff, all the heads of the intelligence departments coming in now and coming up with a proper structure to deal with the reduction of transnational crime. That is the only value you could get from this type of symposium. Other than that, every single country will have a different view, a different concern, a different threat. The majority of the islands in the Caribbean are not violent prone. It is primarily Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. So you can't put a box of a crime plan, anti-crime plan, with Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica in comparison to one or two small islands where you'll have 2 or 3 murders for the year. You're going to fail. So I think the experts should have been there behind these ministers of national security. Failure to do that, it is going to be a talk shop.
Okay, and what about the international experts? Do you think it's important for them to be able to look at some of the world best practices in order to implement here in Trinidad and Tobago and throughout the region?
Well, again, by doing that, bringing in foreign experts to speak in general about crime and crime reduction, again, you're just shooting in the air, because what they will be speaking about is a general concept about crime. They will not have an in-depth understanding and analysis of the problems that exist in each island in the Caribbean. So again, this is where the experts should have been there, because the relevant commissioners of police, the chiefs of defense staff, the head of the intelligence departments, they will know the problems, they will know the issues, they will know the lack of communication and coordination between different islands in the Caribbean that can help, through proper coordination, stop that type of transnational crime, be it illegal weapons being transported, human trafficking, illegal drugs going from one island to the other. That is the value you could get from a symposium like that. But that could only take place not by bringing international experts to speak, not by bringing politicians to blame everybody else, but by using the individuals who are appointed presently in national security, who have the operational appointment to implement the items that are required, because they are aware of the shortcomings. They know what is required to ensure an improvement in CARICOM security through better unified operational systems to deal with transnational crime.
Excellent. And we're about to take a really quick break, and we will return with this conversation.
Sure.
See you soon.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the sky. Do more, live more. Do more, live more. Oh. This is how it's gonna go. Do more, live more. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look out below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look out below, 'cause this is your show.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates with me, Chanel Felix, this morning. And guys, if you're just joining us, we are having a conversation on the CARICOM crime symposium that happened at the Hyatt Regency yesterday and is currently happening today. And so we have the former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Gary Griffith, who is on with us today. And we are discussing it in his capacity as former Commissioner of Police. Some of the mechanisms that should be put in place to ensure that these type of symposiums are not just a talk shop, but they are effective in being able to contribute towards the fight against crime in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, the theme this year was violence as a public health issue. Can you speak to us a little bit about that? Because I have a couple questions that I would like to ask you in regards to how this really does affect the health sector, because we see a number of the issues that are being treated with at the hospital, like the main hospitals, are crime related. This is due to the conversation or the contribution that was made by the Prime Minister yesterday when he began to list out how much it actually costs to treat patients that suffer violent wounds that are as a result of violent crimes.
Yes, certainly. Yet again, it's another deflection. I have never heard something so ridiculous in my life. What he has done is basically try to palm it off to try to show the how it can affect the taxpayers based on someone getting shot in their leg and whatever. But the fact of the matter is that if you really had a concern about the health of Trinidad and Tobago, there are just three major factors that contribute towards 80% of the deaths in Trinidad and Tobago. Three major things. And if it is you focus on those items and put systems in place, you can actually save many lives, because persons with heart complications and suffering from cancer and so forth, they suffer immensely because we have a system that is so outdated and backward that people spend several months for a simple procedure to deal with their heart. And then, but if it is you have $150,000, you can go to a private clinic. And while you wait that 6 months, the arteries can get clogged. So those are the things you will think that if you have a concern about a national concern of a health situation, you must look at your own health environment. But what you have done is pinpoint and say, well, if someone gets shot in his leg, this is what it will cost. If you want to go towards how it affects the country based on crime, don't look at the person being shot in the leg. Look at the death of the individual. Anytime you lose a human resource as a life, what happens after? When it is you speak about the children now being without a father, a family now being without a breadwinner, you have now lost the productivity of a hardworking individual who could have contributed to our country. He's not speaking about that. Somebody gave him what it will cost to fix a leg and a gunshot wound. That is as simplistic and as petty as you can get. And that should not be the focus, because you have turned it into a health concern. Why not a concern as it pertains to the community, to society, a socio-economic problem? You could call it anything you want, but that is irrelevant in the scheme of things. What should be happening is not what it should be regraded as, but how you intend to stop it, how you intend to prevent it, not how much it is costing. The country is fully aware of the dangers of illegal weapons. The country is aware of the problems that a country can be affected with as it pertains to our size and having 600 plus murders per annum. But what are you doing to stop it? Not trying to explain and categorize it based on whether it is a health issue. That is irrelevant. It does not help in any way. So by trying to have a cosmetic approach to try to speak about if it is a health issue, that does not in any way help towards dealing with the issue. He cannot and does not know, similar to Fitzgerald Hines, they do not know what to do. They do not know how to put in policies. They don't know how to implement policies to have it operationalized. And what they do know to do is anything that was done by someone who does not have a PNM party card, we must pull the plug and shut it down. And when you do that, that is why we are suffering.
Well, in the Prime Minister's defense, the theme for this year, for the symposium, is violence as a health issue, the crime challenge. So I'm guessing that he really wanted to demonstrate the economic burden on the health sector in regards to
but that's the point. It is not. When you look in the scheme of things of the billions upon billions, the several $1 billion given to the Ministry of Health on an annual basis, in comparison to the number of people who are treated with a gunshot wound, it is almost irrelevant in the budget of a six. He is speaking about $150,000 for a gunshot wound compared to a $6 billion budget. So if it is that it's a few $1 million to repair the legs of persons who are shot, that is irrelevant. You call a crime symposium and bring in prime ministers around CARICOM to state that we usually spend about $10 million per annum roughly to deal with gunshot wounds in a $6 billion budget. Really? That is what you will see fit? The focus should not be based on if it is that we put an end to murder, to shootings, we will save $10 million in the Ministry of Health. That is irrelevant. That can be the heading for a crime symposium, trying to save several $1 million to stop gunshot wounds in a hospital. When you have a $6 billion budget, and the majority of that, you have 3 major issues of health that has caused the deaths of the majority of citizens in this country annually. That is the health issue. So let us not try to put this into a health situation. This is a lack of leadership, a lack of responsibility, shirking of responsibility. And the focus of this symposium should be how are we going to deal to prevent the problem, and not how much it is costing the taxpayers to deal with a gunshot wound in your leg.
Right. And so another aspect of this public health issue that is seldom discussed in the public domain, and especially on the media, is the right to proper health care for prisoners and for criminals. This is something that we don't really talk about. We see a lot of complaints coming out about the type of treatment that prisoners are faced with while they're behind bars. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the type of investments that can or should be made to ensure better health care within the prison system?
Well, definitely. It has to do with, again, proper management and leadership, and it's absolutely no fault of the senior officers in the prison service. As the Minister of National Security, I was aware of this situation, but because at that time, the Ministry of Justice, they were responsible for prisons, so I had very little input in dealing with that. I drafted the plan pertaining to the Ministry of National Security and changing the Ministry of Justice to have that separated. But it is a critical point, not just in that aspect of dealing with their their personal concerns pertaining to health issues, but it has to do with the whole concept of rehabilitation. Trinidad and Tobago, our recidivism rate is one of the highest in the Caribbean. And those are the things that they will not speak about in this crime symposium. They will speak about how much it will cost for a gunshot wound to be repaired in the hospital. But when you look at recidivism, if you don't have a proper system to rehabilitate the prisoners, what is going to happen is that a young man charged for a misdemeanor goes into prison. He stays in the remand yard for several years. Sometimes they spend more time in the remand yard than the actual length of the sentence had they been convicted. And then when they come out, because of who they associated themselves with, they come out a more hardened criminal. So the concept of persons going to jail is not just for a form of punishment, but more important, to find avenues to rehabilitate them. And if our recidivism rate is we have about 53% of persons who commit crime are persons who are previous criminals. So it means that those persons who have been convicted or held and came back out, we have not done a proper system to rehabilitate them, and even inclusive of the concerns you speak about with their health issues. But that is what is critical, and that is why it is I drafted that Ministry of Justice to deal with this situation. Unfortunately, it was not done as much as it should have by the relevant line ministers. They dropped the ball, but I intend to ensure that this time around, come 2025, that Ministry of Justice will understand it's not just about building extra prisons, but it is to ensure that the prisoners in there, those felons, can be rehabilitated, and having criminologists come and meet with them, interview them, find out their concerns, and then the criminologists can now take this information, bring it to the law enforcement agencies and the state to state this is what is causing the problem. If we put more focus on this aspect in our country, it can reduce these individuals committing the crime.
Excellent point that you made in regards to the rehabilitation of criminals or even persons who just have been to prison, because we see a lot of the persons that are committing crimes are not first-time offenders. They are repeat offenders, and a lot of them have been to prison before. So as you said, the whole sociological contribution towards using the data to help fight crime and to help rehabilitate those prisoners, it's extremely important in the whole discussion on how do we fight crime from the different aspects. We like to talk about the social aspect of the community, as you said, and the parents and the teachers and the school and the education, but seldom do we hear them actually talking about prison reform and rehabilitation for prisoners. And so before you go, because as we wrap up this interview this morning, if you were given the opportunity to present at the symposium today, what do you think is a critical message that should be echoed across the Caribbean, the CARICOM region, for leaders to understand in this current fight against crime?
Well, definitely communication and coordination. As I mentioned, 20 odd years ago, there was something called SINSEC, where annually the commissioners of police, chiefs of defense staff, and the heads of the intelligence agencies would all attend in different islands in the Caribbean. It was actually chaired by the United States. The US understood the value of it. They actually funded it. And that is more important. This crime symposium, politicians blaming everybody else, inclusive of the judiciary, is not going to solve the problem. It cannot and should not be a finger pointing and blame game. That is not how you deal with an issue. You analyze the situation, and then you are able to utilize your limited national security resources in an effective and efficient manner. That can only be done by bringing the experts and those who head the law enforcement agencies together, circling the wagons. That is going to assist greatly in the reduction of transnational crime, illegal entry of weapons, drugs, and even human trafficking. That is something that could be of more value. What we're going to see here is nothing more than a talk shop, and we are not going to get results. Every time you have a meeting, there must be results. There must be something to say, what are we getting out of it? Where do we go from here? You're not going to get anything with this, because these are prime ministers who, again, they have a country to lead. They are not experts in national security, so they do not know. The experts should have been there dealing with it. So I will strongly recommend that is what should happen. And again, trying to get people to understand and appreciate the use of technology. In the Caribbean, many of these islands, we do not understand how important technology is. Technology is what I use that put an end to kidnappings in Trinidad and Tobago. We were able to start arresting persons whilst they held the victims in homes and arrested kidnappers. That's why kidnapping stopped. That's why home invasion stopped. That's why extortion and all that stopped. When it is you fear technology, you're going to prevent what is known as predictive policing, stopping the crime before it happens. This, when I brought in the scanners so that you can actually go through the container and see if there are weapons in the containers, because 99.5% of murders committed by weapons in Trinidad and Tobago are illegal weapons. Those are the type of things that we should do and appreciate. Had I been there, had I been speaking, if I had a position of authority, this is the direction I would have gone. Unfortunately, this Prime Minister, because of his pettiness, because of him trying to actually cover and shield the fact of his own failure, this is nothing more than a cosmetic talk shop, and unfortunately, it is not going to be of much value.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time out to bring some context in the entire view of this CARICOM regional symposium to fight against crime. Some interesting points brought to the forefront there. And again, it's always a pleasure to have you, always a pleasure to have these discussions with you. And again, thank you for giving us your time this morning.
My pleasure.
Yes. Guys, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to return with all that's happening here on the political scene in Tobago. See you right after this quick break.
Tobago, it's time to go.
Geld in die eigene
We'd like to.
Tobago, here's the real deal. Nothing sweeter than when your internet fast all day, every day. I telling you, it's real nice when your home internet and TV package fit your budget. Well, if that's what you want, you're safe with Digicel Plus. Sign up or switch to Digicel Plus now and pay $0 for 1 month. Plus, plans start as low as $199 and you get installed for free. Visit digiceltt.com or a Digicel store now.
Tapicom. Welcome to the future. The only card you will need in a new world. Digital business cards. Safe, hassle-free. The future is here. Tapicom. New generation digital transfer. Digital time clock cards. Digital attendance cards. Air tags. Customized designs. Digital clothing tags. Digital pet tags. Tapicom. The future is here. Contact us today.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates.
Good morning again and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, if you are just joining us, then we have been talking about the regional symposium, the CARICOM crime fighting symposium that has taken place, well, is currently taking place at the Hyatt Regency. And I had the pleasure of speaking with the former commissioner of police on that. And so as we continue with this morning's conversation, we're looking at a little bit of what is happening on the political scene right here on the island of Tobago. Now, as you guys know, just a couple weeks ago, we had the Chief Secretary, Farley Chavez Augustine, announcing that his current administration would be making preparations for the launch of a new political parties. Now, a number of questions came to the fore about whether or not it was an actual launch of a party, but it was later clarified that it was only the preparation for a launch that gathered members at the Shaw Park Cultural Complex to have their say on what this new political organization should look like. Now, after yesterday's meeting at the Shaw Park Complex, we have gotten information that they have decided that this new party is going to be called the Tobago People's Party. And so we're going to go into that clip and we're going to take a little look into what happened yesterday as they sat and came up with that decision of having that name.
Ladies and gentlemen, people of Tobago, we had a lengthy evening discussing symbols, colors, but most importantly, name. And I saw somewhere recently where a goodly gentleman said perhaps we should name the party Farley Saltfish Party. But you know, the last time I checked, and that was early this morning, all saltfish still sweet. Something that is sweeter than saltfish, and that is the cries for democracy and people having the opportunity to have their voices heard. And over the last 2 weeks, we had a process that some people, a few people, just could not understand. Because in their mind, we should form a one-man party, call it a name, and people will come. And I understand them. After all, some people have one-man chamber of commerce. Maybe there's a hall of commerce, not even a chamber. But what we insisted on in this team is that we will have a democratic process where everyone will have a say. I wish to also thank Tobagonians far and wide. I did several field work across the last week, and everywhere I went, someone was suggesting a name or a symbol or a color or giving some political narrative, which says to me that Tobagonians are far more intelligent than some will give you credit for. You want your own political party, and you want to own your own political party. You want a political party that when you leave here this evening, you can put it in your pockets and go home. Every one of you, because you are all shareholders of this name, this brand, and this organization. I want to reiterate that I will not be the one heading to EBC, because as leader of this team, I want to demonstrate faith in you and your ability to have a party registered that's not registered to my name, and trust that Tobago's interests will always be covered by that political institution. Ordinary members of this august body will go to EBC, will register the party, and it will be enshrined in our constitution as belonging to all our way. Not some of it, but all our way. For those on the outside looking in and having questions, I will have you know that when we met 2 weeks ago, a draft constitution was prepared, was presented for discussion. That draft constitution will be made available online. You will, within a couple of days, see us setting up our Facebook profiles and having it available for all and sundry to read and to comment before we have our mass convention to vote on 2 things: ratification of the Constitution and the executive of the political organization that we have. The step you have made today lightened all our burdens. Because the truth is, we need a platform outside of the THA's platform that we could talk the politics. So we could answer to some of the stupidness that we are allowing to just take over the airwaves. So we could respond to village idiots who have a megaphone, and we can ensure that the truth is told at all times. So we're happy for this platform. And you're not just here this evening in your hundreds, but I want you to commit to be here whenever we call. Because this is your party. This is yours. More than that, you have duties to perform as new members of this party. As members of this party, you have an oath to educate the population, educate your fellow villagers, teach them the truth, tell them of the facts, listen carefully, don't be shy about calling in on the radio, writing to the editor, calling in to the television, and sharing the facts. You also have an oath to protect your community above everything else. Because one of the things that led to the great falling away was a commitment by me and others that we ought to put Tobago even above the party. And as great as a party we can form, nothing should supersede that of being Tobagonian. To be Ghanaian is the greatest thing ever. And the first step in creating the greatest little island on the planet is really creating an island of confident, self-aware, mature, intelligent people who understand that in this space, this small space, they can self-actualize, they can realize their dreams, and they can do big things either through themselves or to their children or children's children. And you did a big thing today. Big man and big woman thing you did today. I am also aware that those who thought a great political strategy was to go online and to rush speedily under my good friend Liz's post to comment, I am guessing they now realize that politics is not fought on Facebook, it is fought on the ground. And your presence here this evening and 2 weeks ago reminds us as area reps, first and foremost, to stay to the ground, stay true to the ground, because that is where the base, that is where the support, and that is where Tobagonians are. And before I give the name, there's a passage of scripture that I wish to share with you just before I give the name, and it comes from Hebrews chapter 6 verse 19. The scripture says, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain where Jesus, who went before us, has entered on our behalf. I am no preacher, but this piece of scripture is very clear that in Jesus Christ we have an anchored hope, a kind of hope that says that it's steadfast, it's firm, unmovable, unshakable, and will survive till the end of time. And that's why we are not ashamed in this organization, despite our multiculturalism, to really sing praises unto the Most High. And so, today we had a vote among 4 names. 5 names, is you paid attention? Among 5 names. The 5 names that were up for vote were National Democratic Alliance, Tobago Democratic Alliance, ACT, or what ACT stands for again? Advanced Coalition for Transformation, the People's Party, and Tobago People's Party. A vote was taken, the ballots were counted in front of everyone present, so no counting, no backroom, because this is one party where the votes don't change when it leaves the base. When it leaves polling station, the votes have remain the same. You can see all the boxes are empty. The ballot sheet was certified by the 3 main counters, and I can tell you that the overwhelming vote for the name of the new party and the name of this new political organization is Tobago People's Party. The people of Tobago have spoken, and the people of Tobago have said that they no longer want to belong to any party owned by any man who will tell them when to leave and when to come. They want their own party, Tobago People's Party. At this time, I ask everyone to stand as we close with our theme song, Will Your Anchor Hold?
And there you have it, people, the initial formation of the Tobago People's Party, the TPP, as we are going to see in upcoming elections. Now, there are a lot of questions to be asked, and we look forward to representatives from the party coming out and answering those questions about probably when are we going to see these members of this current administration actually holding up this banner and being a part of this party publicly, and is that legal, seeing that they are now independents in the THA. So these are interesting questions that we want to ask. We want to get down to the bottom of it, find out the legality of it and all of that, and kind of get a sense from you, the public. How are you feeling about this new party, the TPP? Leave your comments. Make sure to leave your comments so that we can see and we can assess it for our polls that are going to be happening in the upcoming weeks. So we want to hear from you. We want you to be able to make your contribution on this topic. The Tobago People's Party, are you feeling it? Because it's leaning towards the direction, as the Chief Secretary said, of it being specific to the Tobago people, Tobago having its own party. And I'm guessing that we're not going to see another instance of one of the representatives running to Trinidad to try to take part in any national elections in regards to running for any seats down there. So when we talk about the Tobago People's Party, I'm guessing that the push is going to be towards autonomy and all things Tobago. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us here on Tobago Updates. Good morning, Tobago, with myself, Chanel Felix, this morning. Interesting conversations to start off the morning with Mr. Gary Griffith, who is the former Commissioner of Police here in Trinidad and Tobago. And then we saw the selection of the name for that Tobago People's Party. Quite interesting. Unprecedented times. We've never seen anything like this being done before in the political arena, especially being done publicly, where members are able to vote on a party's name, color, and symbol and all of that. And from what we've heard in the news in 90 seconds, after the registration has been done at the EBC, we would be aware of what that symbol and that color is. But for now, we know that there is a new party in town, the Tobago People's Party. Guys, thank you so much for staying tuned with us. Thank you for adding your comments. Be sure to add your comments. It's important. It's critical, actually, because we want to hear from you. How are you feeling about this Tobago People's Party? How are you feeling about the name? How are you feeling about the entire formation of the party on a whole? Guys, be sure to have a great day. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and it's always my pleasure to be with you on a Good Morning Tobago. Thank you and have a great day.
The skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me near.